Let me ask you something. Have you ever poured your heart into someone only to feel them pull away the moment you get close? It's like 1 second they're there warm, connected, and the next it's as if they vanished into thin air. And you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? Why am I not enough? That's the exhausting dance with the avoidant. They keep you guessing, keep you chasing, and it eats you alive inside. You text, you wait, you hope, you replay every conversation in your mind, and still they stay distant. But here's what most people never realize. The moment you stop begging for connection, the moment you break the pattern and say something that flips their emotional wiring upside down, that's when everything changes. Because there's one thing you can say before you walk away, and it plants a seed so deep inside their mind, they can't stop thinking about you. It disrupts the cycle. It makes them chase you. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly what that is. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in that moment where your chest feels tight because you don't understand what just happened? You thought everything was flowing, the conversation was alive, the connection felt real, maybe even magical, and then suddenly, silence. The person you were opening up to, the one you were giving your time, your love, your energy to just drifts away. And in that space, in that silence, your mind starts racing. You start asking yourself questions you don't even want the answers to. Did I say too much? Did I move too fast? Am I not good enough? That's the torment that comes with being drawn to someone who pulls away the moment you lean in. And the truth is, it's not always obvious at first. In fact, sometimes it feels like you're dancing with a ghost. 1 minute they're there, the next they're gone. You replay every little detail in your head like a movie stuck on repeat. You analyze the tone of a text message, the pause between words, the slight change in their eyes when you told them how you felt. And the more you analyze, the more you drive yourself crazy, because no matter how much effort you put in, the answers never seem to come. Now, let me tell you something powerful. You're not alone in that experience. People all over the world are wrestling with this exact dynamic. It's almost universal. That feeling of being caught in a cycle where you're giving, you're trying, you're waiting for reciprocity, and yet the other person is stepping back, withdrawing, closing up. And the worst part, the moment they pull away, it's something inside of you clings harder. It's almost like a magnet, but reversed. The more they run, the more your mind chases. The less they speak, the louder your need for answers becomes. It's not just attraction anymore, it's obsession. Think about it. Think about that knot in your stomach when you don't hear back, that restless energy that doesn't let you sleep, that whisper in your head telling you to check your phone one more time, to scroll back through old messages, to analyze the last thing they said. We convince ourselves that if we just figure out the right thing to say, the perfect way to explain, the most loving way to show them we care, they'll finally stay. But deep down, you already know it doesn't work that way. See, here's where the real intrigue lies. The problem isn't that you cared too much. The problem isn't that you said too much. The problem is the pattern, the dance that keeps happening again and again. It's wired into their behavior, and without realizing it, it's wired into yours too. They pull away, you lean in, they go silent, you speak louder, they shut the door, you start knocking on it with everything you've got. Every time you do, you reinforce their distance. But what if, just for a second, you flip that pattern on its head? What if instead of chasing, you created a moment of such clarity, such strength that it wasn't you questioning yourself anymore? It was them. What if there were words, just a few words, that could shift the energy in that instant and leave them wondering, thinking, even obsessing about you long after you walked away? Imagine the power in that. Imagine the confidence in knowing that you hold the key, that you're not just reacting to their avoidance, but you're leading the dance in a way they never expected, because that's what this is really about: curiosity, intrigue, that spark of uncertainty that flips the script. The same way their silence once haunted you, your presence, your final words, can haunt them. And once you understand that, once you step into that place of strength, everything about how they see you begins to shift. You know what's crazy? We don't even talk about how exhausting this really is. People see you smiling, working, living your life, but inside there's this constant tug of war happening. You care about someone who doesn't show up for you the way you show up for them. And every time you try to bridge that gap, it feels like you're the only one building the bridge. And what's worse is that you start doubting yourself. You start to believe the problem isn't the dynamic, it's you. Think about those nights where you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations over and over again. You wonder if you were too available. You wonder if you said something wrong, or maybe if you didn't say enough. You wonder if you gave too much of yourself away too soon. That's the weight of being attached to someone who constantly keeps you at arm's length. It's not just about them pulling away. It's about the way you start pulling away from yourself. It's like you lose your own center. You lose your own rhythm. Your joy starts to depend on whether or not they text you back, whether or not they finally open up, whether or not they finally let you in. And when they don't, you start questioning your worth. You start looking in the mirror and asking, what's wrong with me? Why am I not enough? And that's the most painful part, because deep down, you know you're more than enough. You've shown up with love, with honesty, with openness, things so many people in this world are afraid to give, and yet it still feels like it's not landing. And here's what makes it even worse. Avoidance. They don't just pull away quietly. They create this invisible fog. You feel their energy shift before they even say a word. You notice the delayed replies, the shorter answers, the way their eyes avoid yours when things start getting real. And your body reacts, your chest tightens, your stomach knots, and suddenly you're in fight or flight mode without even knowing why. One part of you wants to fight harder for their love, to prove to them that you're safe, that you won't hurt them, that you'll stay. And another part of you wants to run to protect yourself from this endless cycle of being close 1 minute and abandon the next. And you know what's really wild? Even when you try to walk away, even when you swear to yourself, I'm done, I deserve better, something inside of you still hopes they'll chase you. You still wait for that text. You still imagine that moment where they'll finally realize your value and come running back. And when they don't, the silence feels like rejection all over again. It's not just sadness, it's this heavy cocktail of longing, anger, shame, and hope all wrapped together. It's draining, it's confusing, and it messes with your sense of reality, because one moment you're convinced they care. You've seen glimpses of it, moments where their walls come down and you catch the softness behind their eyes, but then those walls slam back up harder than ever. And you're left wondering if you just imagined it all. That's the pain point right there. The unpredictability, the not knowing, the endless cycle of closeness and distance that keeps you hooked, keeps you waiting for scraps of affection, keeps you locked in a loop where your self-worth gets tied to their inconsistency. And it's not just about them, it's about how it changes you. You start dimming your light. You start holding back your needs, your truth, your love, just to avoid scaring them away. You start shrinking yourself to fit into the tiny space they're willing to give. And every time you do, a piece of you gets lost. A piece of your power, your confidence, your joy gets buried under the weight of trying to be what they want instead of standing tall in who you are. That's the pain we need to talk about because it's real and it's raw, and it's the reason so many people stay trapped in relationships that eat them alive. You ever notice how these situations don't just hurt in the moment? They stack, they pile up like weights on your chest until you can hardly breathe. It's not just one text left unanswered. It's not just one plan canceled at the last minute. It's not just one cold glance when you were expecting warmth. It's every single one of those moments layered on top of each other until suddenly your whole body feels wired to expect disappointment. And that's where the build-up begins. It's the little things that turn into big things. It's the way your phone buzzes and your heart leaps only to sink when you see it isn't them. It's the way you tell yourself you won't care this time, you won't let it get to you, and then you find yourself wide awake at 2 a.m, scrolling back through old conversations, looking for proof that what you felt was real. It's the way one unanswered call somehow feels like a rejection of everything you are. The truth is, the human heart can only take so many hits before it starts rewriting the story. And when someone avoids you, when someone constantly retreats, your heart doesn't just say, they're unavailable right now. It whispers, you're not worthy. You're not lovable. You're not enough. And those whispers grow louder with every new letdown. That's why the pain isn't just about them. It's about how the story gets written inside of you. And here's the dangerous part. You start to live in that story. You carry it with you into every interaction. You hesitate before speaking your truth because you're already bracing for them to shut down. You hold back your laughter, your affection, your excitement because you don't want to overwhelm them. You even start editing who you are piece by piece until you're not even showing up as yourself anymore. You're just a watered down version, hoping maybe that's easier for them to handle. That's the emotional prison so many people live in. The constant build up of fear, doubt, longing, and shame. One moment you feel strong, determined to break free, and the next moment you're right back in the cycle, chasing a ghost. It's not because you're weak. It's because the emotional highs and lows are addictive. That's what nobody tells you. When they give you a glimpse of closeness, it feels euphoric, almost like a drug. And when they pull away, it creates withdrawal, an H so deep you do almost anything to get that closeness back, even if it's just for a second. And so the build up continues. Every time they leave, you feel the emptiness more. Every time they return, you feel the relief less. It becomes harder and harder to separate what you want from what you're actually getting. And that's why it hurts so much, because your heart knows you deserve more, but your mind keeps convincing you to settle for less. You get stuck in this tug of war between hope and heartbreak, and it eats away at your sense of self. And let's be honest, it's not just emotional anymore. Your body feels it too. Your shoulders tighten, your stomach twists, your chest feels heavy. You carry the weight of that avoidance in every breath, every step, every quiet moment when you're alone. You start living on edge, like you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the more you live in that tension, the more it becomes your new normal. That's the real danger of the emotional buildup. It doesn't just shape how you feel in the moment. It shapes how you see yourself, how you love, how you trust, how you live. And when you don't stop to recognize it, to call it out, it becomes the lens through which you see every relationship, every possibility, every chance at love. What if the whole time you've been asking the wrong questions? You've been asking, why don't they want me? What's wrong with me? What can I do to make them stay? But what if none of those are the questions that matter? What if the real question is, why am I giving my power away to someone who doesn't even know what to do with it? That's the shift. That's the perspective that changes everything. Because the truth is, it's not about fixing them. It's not about proving yourself. It's not about begging for a love that should flow freely. It's about remembering who the hell you are and realizing that their avoidance isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their fear. They're not running from you. They're running from intimacy, from vulnerability, from the mirror that you hold up to them when you show them what real love looks like. And when you start to see it through that lens, the game changes. Suddenly, their silence doesn't cut as deep because you know it's not about you. Their distance doesn't define you because you're not measuring your value by their ability to stay. You stop making their walls about your worth, and you start recognizing that those walls were built long before you ever showed up. And that shift creates power. See, when you live in the old perspective, you're trapped. You're constantly reacting. They pull back. You lean in. They shut down. You overcompensate. They disappear. You chase. It's a cycle that keeps you small, keeps you desperate, keeps you believing you have to fight for love. But when you shift your perspective, when you start to own your role in the dance, you realize you don't have to dance to their rhythm anymore. You can choose a new rhythm. You can step off the floor entirely. And here's what happens when you do. You stop clinging. You stop over-explaining. You stop pouring energy into trying to convince someone to stay who was never fully present to begin with. Instead, you reclaim that energy and you put it back into yourself. And the moment you do, something incredible happens. You become magnetic because nothing is more attractive, nothing is more irresistible than a person who knows their value and refuses to settle for scraps. That's the irony. The second you stop trying to hold them tighter, that's when they feel the loss. That's when they start to wonder. That's when the seed of obsession gets planted because they can't understand how you managed to walk away with strength, with clarity, with dignity, when they expected you to crumble. That's the power of perspective. It's not about chasing their validation. It's about standing so firmly in your own truth that they can't help but feel the weight of your absence. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. That old perspective, that pull to explain yourself, to justify, to fight for the connection, it's addictive. It feels safer to keep trying than to let go. But the shift begins when you realize that safety is an illusion. You're not safe clinging to someone who can't meet you. You're not safe silencing yourself to keep them comfortable. You're not safe in a love that keeps you questioning your worth. Safety isn't found in holding tighter. It's found in letting go. So the moment you step into this new perspective, you reclaim your power. You're no longer the person chasing, doubting, pleading. You become the person who knows deep in your bones that you are enough, whether they see it or not. And when you operate from that place, everything shifts. The way you speak, the way you move, the way you look at yourself in the mirror, it all carries a different energy. And people feel it. They feel it when you're no longer dependent on them for your sense of worth. They feel it when you stop playing the old role and start writing a new script. You know that feeling when you're right on the edge of something, when you know there's an answer just beyond your reach, and you can almost taste it, but you can't quite grab it yet. That's where you are right now. Because deep down, you already sense that the way you've been approaching this isn't working. You already know that chasing, over-explaining, giving more, begging for closeness, it's never produced the love you deserve. And part of you is something different that flips the whole script upside down. Imagine this. Instead of being the one left waiting, instead of being the one twisting in confusion, you're the one who leaves the mark. You're the one who says the words that echo in their head long after you're gone. You're the one they can't stop thinking about at night. The one who lingers in the silence. The one who forces them to look at themselves in a way they've never dared to before. How powerful would that feel? To no longer be at the mercy of their avoidance, but to plant something in their mind that keeps pulling them back to you. That's the anticipation I want you to feel right now, because there is something, just one thing. You can say before you walk away, that doesn't come from desperation, that doesn't come from pleading, but comes from strength, clarity, and self-worth. And when you say it, it doesn't sound like a tactic, it doesn't sound like manipulation, it sounds like truth. And truth, when spoken with certainty, has a way of cutting through every wall, every defense, every excuse they built up. Now, here's the key. You can't rush it. You can't deliver it from a place of fear or from a place of wanting to control the outcome. It has to come from that deep part of you that knows you're enough, that knows you're enough, that knows you don't have to cling, that knows walking away isn't losing. It's winning back your power. And when you step into that place, your words carry a different weight. They hit differently. They land in a way that makes the avoidant stop in their tracks because they're not used to it. They're used to people chasing them. They're used to people trying harder the more they pull away. But when you turn and speak from strength instead of need, you break their pattern. You create a crack in their armor. And I promise you this, the moment that crack appears, they feel it. They feel it in their chest, in their gut, in that quiet place where they hide all their fears. They won't show it on the surface, not right away. But inside, you've planted a thought they can't escape. It circles back again and again. It makes them question themselves. It makes them replay your words. And little by little, it makes them realize they may have just lost something they didn't even know how badly they needed until it was gone. That's what we're building toward. That's the moment you're preparing for. Every story we've walked through, every pain we've unpacked, every perspective we've shifted, it all leads here. To this one choice, this one line, this one act of courage that turns the tables. And when you get it right, when you deliver it with that mix of calm and conviction, you don't just walk away, you leave a mark that stays with them. And the best part, it's not about revenge. It's not about making them suffer. It's not about proving anything. It's about you finally stepping into your power, finally knowing the difference between chasing someone who runs and choosing yourself instead. And when you operate from that place, when you finally say what needs to be said, everything changes. Not just for them, but for you.